Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. Have your prayers been answered? Has NZXT finally listened to what we actually want? Well, I think maybe. What we're going to do today is check out one of their brand new cases. It's called the NZXT H7 Flow. There's a whole new series of cases called the H7 series, obviously, but we're checking out the Airflow Focus version because I thought that this one would probably be the one that you guys find most interesting. So what we're going to do is our usual thing. We're going to do a build, we're going to test the thermals, and I'm going to let you know if I think this new case from NZXT is any good. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alrighty, let's start off with panel removal. Now there's no screws on this case whatsoever to get inside, which already is something that I like. So basically the way the panels remove is there's little notches on the back of each panel. You just pull it, and like other cases that we've seen before from other manufacturers, they just pop off and away we go. Rear panel, same deal, same type of mechanism. Basically just pull on that corner, lift it, and that panel is also gone too. Front panel, also no screws, really easy. Pull from the bottom, give it a bit of a yank, put 2 thumbs on it, push it up, and the top panel's gone. On the back, what we can see here, they've got a couple new things. So the cable management raceways here are brand new. They're extra wide. They've got these retention clips on the side that kind of hold the cables in, and they've got Velcro to tie everything down to the back of the motherboard tray. They've also got these Velcro tie downs on the top edge of the case, as well as down here where you would run your EPS power connector. The top of the case has this huge cutout for running all the cables through the top. Traditionally what we'd see on cases is a couple holes, so I like that they've completely opened this up. This is going to be way easier for building and for cable management. Also got some SSD mounting options here straight off the bat. We've got 2 SSD mounts on the back. They're attached with a screw so the sleds don't slide out, but you actually don't need to use the screws to hold them in. And there's also 2 more 3.5-inch hard disk bays at the bottom. In the box of accessories, we've got the standard stuff you'd usually find. We've got 2 additional SSD sleds, which can be mounted to the inside bottom of the case as well. So if you wanted to add 2 more drives, you can have a total of 6 drives in this case altogether. You've also got a bunch of screws and everything that come with the case as well. Look at it. Looks like it's got a couple frangers in it. In terms of motherboard support, it supports up to ATX size motherboards, and I think you could probably get away with a bigger board if you remove this NZXT cable bar. They've actually changed the design of the cable bar as well. It used to go all the way over the top, blocking hoses and stuff like with the H710 and whatnot, but they've actually just cut it here, which means you can top mount your AIO without having the tubes running over or underneath that annoying old cable bar. Power supply support's pretty standard for this case. Here's the new NZXT C1000. This is probably the power supply I'm going to be using when we build in this. But yeah, you can see here that this is about 140 mil power supply, I'm gonna say, or probably 150. You got plenty of room for cables, so you could probably go, I would say, up to about 170 mil. There's 2 pre-installed fans. There's one that's pre-installed on the front of the case, as well as another 120 mil fan mounted to the rear of the case. However, you can do up to a 140 mil fan at the back if you like. On the front of the case, we can do 3 120 mil fans or a 360 mil rad. We can also do a 360 mil rad at the top of the case as well, which means if you're doing a custom loop, you've got more than enough radiator mounting points, which is something that we saw with the H710, but not executed quite as well and as nicely as this case here. That's not the only thing. If you were going for no radiator at the front and you wanted to use just fans, you can do 3 140 mil fans up the front. Not only that, you can do a 280 mil radiator at the top as well. So you've got a lot of different and interesting cooling options with this new case from NZXT. Now, the thing that everybody wants to know with every new case is GPU clearance. The H7 Flow will support up to a 400mm long GPU. So we've got the RTX 3090 gaming exterior from MSI, which is an absolute behemoth of a card, and this fits in here very easily. Another feature that might be of interest to you as well is the fact that NZXT has now removed the cross bracing for the PCIe slot covers, which means you can basically use any vertical GPU bracket that you like with this case, which is also quite new to NZXT cases. You don't have to get out the tin sips and cut anything. Any vertical GPU bracket is gonna work. They actually make a new one for this case, but I would just buy any one because it doesn't matter anymore. There's a few different places they've put dust filters as well. We've got dust filters on the top. None of them are magnetic. They basically just clip in. There's also a dust filter on the bottom of the case right here, which we can just push down and slide out. And lastly, there's a dust filter on the front panel itself, which you can just push up and pop out, and you can remove that and run it with no filter, or for cleaning it as well. But I would probably recommend running it with the filter in, and we will be testing the differences in thermals between having the filter on and off. For front panel connectivity, we've got a combined headphone and microphone jack. We've got a USB Type-C port, 2 USB Type-A ports, and the power button, which has the power LED and the hard disk activity LED integrated into it as well. For the front panel wiring, we've got a combined front panel connector for the lights and switches and everything, a USB 3.0 front panel connector, the front panel audio connector, as well as the USB Type-C front panel connector. We're gonna do our usual thing now. We're gonna do a build, test the thermals, and then I'm gonna let you guys know what I think about this new case from NZXT. And spoiler alert, so far things are looking pretty promising, but you'll have to wait and find out. So make sure you stick around. Ladies and gents, it's been a very, very long time since we visited our friends over at PSU Corp. Let's see what they've been up to. Oh. Yep. and gents, I hope you enjoyed the build in the brand new NZXT H7 Flow. Let's quickly take a look at the thermals. What you're seeing on your screen right now is the filters actually impede the airflow quite a bit, especially that front air filter. But also remember, we're using the 12900KS. It is an incredibly hot CPU. You could basically warm up your entire house just with this CPU, and with testing, yeah, I found that to be the case, even in a climate controlled environment. But overall, I think with a more moderate CPU, you'll get much better thermals. Also, these NZXT fans are not that good thermally, so I'd recommend probably using other fans, but they do look quite good. Yeah, and that's basically it. The thermals are okay. GPU thermals are good, but CPU thermals could be a bit better. All right, let's quickly chat about the parts. The CPU is the Intel Core i9 12900KS. Special shout out to Scorptec for sending us through this CPU. We didn't have one and they were like, hey, do you want one? And we were like, yeah, of course we want one. So they hooked it up for us. So thanks to Scorptec. Legends. We put the 12900KS on the Asus ROG STRIX B660A gaming Wi-Fi. Now I know what you're thinking, B660 and 12900KS. It hits its maximum boost clocks. You just can't overclock the CPU with this chipset. So it doesn't really matter because it's a stupidly fast CPU as it is. To cool the 12900KS, we use the NZXT Kraken X73 RGB in white. The GPU is the Asus ROG Strix RTX 3080 Gundam Edition. All of the fans in the case are NZXT Air 2 fans. There are 4 140mm fans, so there's 3 up the front, 1 140 at the back, and there's 3 120s on the top on the cooler itself. And all of the lighting for the fans is configured in NZXT Cam. We've also got the brand new Lian Strimer V2 Plus cables, and we configured all of that in L-Connect 3. So we've got a bunch of different RGB software running on this machine to configure all the lighting. And if I missed any of the parts, I'll put a PC part pick list down below in the description so you can check out all the parts. But let's talk a little bit about the H7 Flow. To build in this case is stupidly easy. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be. In fact, there's a whole part that I filmed where I talked about potentially having issues between the motherboard tray and the side panel for clearance, but I didn't include that because I actually didn't find there to be any problems given how many cables and stuff that I had to put in this case, especially with things like this motherboard only having a single USB header on the motherboard. So I had to use a USB box, like a splitter box, the old NZXT one. I had one of those laying around somewhere. I got that to fit. I got the controller for these cables to fit. I added another lighting controller for all of the fans as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, especially with cable extensions. They can get quite unruly in the back of the PC, especially when you're trying to cable manage it and keep everything flat to the motherboard tray. But as you've probably already seen in the video, I actually had no problems getting all of the things to fit. The build quality of this new case is excellent. It's much like the H1 V2. It's the same type of materials, the same type of finish, and I feel like NZXT now has a consistent finish for all of their cases. Not only that, all of the fittings and everything to connect the panels and everything to the case also feel more standardized than before. And I feel like this is kind of not only a new type of design language, even though, let's be honest, it's a box with holes on it, with the glass panel. Not only that, those bits of attention to detail is what makes this different, especially with things like the cable bar that I've always hated in NZXT cases. Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, you can hide cables, but they've done it the right way here by not making it extend all the way up to the top of the case. I hated that. That was the worst. Most of the time, I would just remove the cable bar completely if I was building in an NZXT case, and they finally got it right. It only took them like 8 years, I don't know. Now, if you're interested in grabbing the Flow, this is the one I recommend, by the way. The Elite, it's too much RGB bling, solid front panel, all of that stuff. No, don't buy it. The regular version, also solid front panel, don't buy it. Buy the Flow version with the open front. Not only does it look better, it's got better performance. I know that they have like different tiers or whatever, but this one here, in the US at least, is the same price as the non-Flow version. So why wouldn't you just buy the Flow version? Because if you're interested in the NZXT H7 Flow, it's going for $129 US or 209 Australian dollars at the time of filming this video. I gotta say though, that Aussie price is stupid. It should be at least 169 Aussie dollars. Having it over $200 to me just doesn't feel worth it. If it was under 200, let's say, like I mentioned, 169, this would be a definite 1,000,000% buy, because I highly recommend this case. It is really, really good. NZXT absolutely knocked it out of the park with this case. And I haven't been excited about a case like this for a long time, but it's the right size, you can fit the right amount of things in it, and the US price at least, I don't think it's asking too much for what it is. All of these little things and all of this attention to detail make this one of NZXT's best cases yet. Hands down, this is probably better than any other desktop case they've ever released since the company started. Let us know what you think about this brand new NZXT case in the comments down below. You already know how I feel about it. And if you guys like the music you heard here, I make all the music. It's available by clicking the join button down below. Make sure you get yourself subscribed so you can see when videos like this come out. Also, ring the notification bell, otherwise you're gonna miss all of our content, guys. Like, you need to ring that bell if you want to see our videos. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek. We're doing all the seeking, right? That's how it works, right? Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, because they nailed it. And I know there's gonna be other reviews of people saying, oh, I hate this and I hate that. Who reviews more cases than anyone else, huh? Who? This guy. Thanks for watching.